I need to prove to myself that I love myself too much to stop settling for less and to actually open myself for much more bigger opportunities and much more better than this. We are in the part two, and I'm sorry if the part one prolonged because I love yapping and yapping and yapping. But anyways, we are in part two of this podcast video, which titles "Putting Standard: Why it is important to put standards." It doesn't matter if it's in a relationship or it is on people who are you are interested in or in platonic friendship. So, so what actually happens? Why my friends from so many friends in the past and now I have a few friends, which is one-on-one friends. What happens? What happens is that I put standards on relationships and platonic friendships in my life. When you put standards on people, and certain people, and certain relationship, and certain platonic friendship, you're actually filtering out these people. You're actually removing people that is not actually resonating with you, that is not reciprocating your actions, that is not actually your friends and have animosity, animosity, and have animosity with you or low-key hating you, you're actually filtering out these people. They're going to live by their own, or you're going to remove them slowly and slowly until you practice and become the person who is removing this kind of people. By practicing to actually put standards on people, I'm telling earlier that you're actually filtering them out, and you're you also need to realize and ask yourself, this is what I wanted in a certain relationship. This is my standard. And this is what I wanted in a certain platonic friendship. This is my standard. And you need to set standards. You need to set what you needed in a relationship, emotionally, physically, mentally. And I'm not saying that your partner or your the person that you're interested in is or should do everything that you needed, because that's unrealistic, babe. That's what I realized when I get to relationship, that not everything that you need is granted by this person. You need to make peace with that. And for me, I believe that we all have a different type of or different pictures in mind of standards. And I don't have a problem with people who actually agree and tolerates the bare minimum or much lesser than that. I'm saying is that it always have consequences that correlates to that. And I'm sorry that I am not the kind of person who wants that on my life. So yeah, if I caught up myself tolerating less or the bare minimum, just the bare minimum, I will actually remove myself from the situation. Because you needed to believe that you deserve more than this. There is so much more than this. The world is vast and huge to actually settle for us. And I know so many people who do podcasts usually say this, that you deserve better because you were. And we have all different definition and picture in mind of that. Why do I actually highly recommend raising your standards or building your standards in certain specific people, especially in relationship or certain platonic friendship? I highly recommend raising your standards I highly recommend raising your standards for the reason that it is a way to actually open yourself from better opportunities. Like saying no to what longer serves you, saying no to the bare minimum, saying no to the things and circumstances that is less, much less than the bare minimum. And I'm not saying that there is something wrong with accepting and tolerating bare minimum and lesser than that, but for me, it doesn't resonate with me because I've seen enough. I've seen enough. I tolerate so much from the past, and I learned my lesson now. So why would I accept any more bare minimum and lesser than that? You know, and I wanted to share my experience about it. I feel like the circumstances and experiences in my life now is actually testing me if I finally evolve or change from my past self. And I believe that I finally change for the reason that every time that a guy talks to me, I mean, I am a kind of person who are actually open to talking, like friends first, but you can't win my trust that fast. Actually, I'm actually hard to talk to. I refuse to talk to you every day because, man, I'm busy as hell. And then, you know, if I've caught myself feeling attached with this person, and by talking to them, I realize that he's not the kind of person who has emotional intelligence, which is I'm finding and wanting and needing in a potential relationship. This guy hasn't have doesn't have emotional intelligence. This guy doesn't actually listen to me. He's just rumbling and trauma dumping on me. And like, what? Where's the reciprocation on that? And you know, by that, you're actually observing them. You're not observing them because observing and observing is actually a different words and definition. Just observe them. And it is actually amazing and good if you finally put a standards to specific people. Because I was like, okay, this person doesn't have emotional intelligence. This person is not actually listening to me and just wanting my energy and like my advices about things. Like I am his therapist, girl. And then that's it. From that moment, and I know if you all are somewhere watching this, that's just kind of a small thing, right? But for me, it's not. It's big deal for me because that's what I wanted in a specific relationship or potential relationship. And if a guy doesn't have that, and what I'm gonna do with it? This is not working. And maybe y'all are thinking I should address what I need. But babe, I actually address it as and nothing changes. And that's the point where I'm going to say to myself, okay, remove yourself from this certain circumstances because you don't deserve that. Even though sometimes I still feel guilty by removing myself in a certain situation, I, s- I need it because I need to prove to myself that I love myself too much to stop settling for less and to actually open myself for much more bigger opportunities and much more better than this.